Hi, my name is Greg Vale. This is part 3 of winterizing a apimaye beehive with my Russian bees. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about a heat tape. There have been some studies on about how to heat a hive. There's some heaters that you can buy that put in the hive, some of them related to water, some of them are electric. They got different kind of things. There was a research study they did on the 50s where they tried various number of different kinds of things, and you know, some of them work a little bit, some of them can hinder the bees, you know, if you do things wrong. What I have here, what I do is I wrap my hive in a heat tape. This heat tape is the same kind of tape that you buy to put on water lines to keep them from freezing during the winter. The heat tape itself down here has a little black knob right off of the cord. This is where the thermostat is for one of these. This determines when the heat tape turns on and when the heat tape turns off. These things are between 38 and 40 degrees. I don't remember if it comes on at 38 or off at 42 or which, but somewhere between 38 and 42 degrees it turns on and then it turns back off. The reason I do this is, once again, kind of like the animal pad on the bottom, it's not going to generate a whole bunch of heat to actually warm up the hive. The hive itself is insulated at an R6 compared to a pine hive, which is an R1. All this is really going to do is, when it gets, say, down to about 25 degrees outside and the coldness starts getting into the outside of the hive, this will warm up and allow the heat that's leaving the hive to, you know, stay in there a little bit longer. You can see that I have 3 different boxes on here. If you remember, this one here is an empty box. It's a quilt box with cedar chips in it. I wrap it around it too. This gives approximately 1 wrap around each box. It's 3 boxes deep, so about 8 foot per box. This is a 24-foot heat tape. I'm going to show you a little bit how I put these on, because I've done it a number of times, and they can be a little tricky because they've got weight and they don't want to stay up. So one of the first things that you want to do, is really important, is instead of going horizontal, when you put your first piece of tape on there, you kind of pull it tight, and you want to put a piece of tape on here vertically, meaning, you know, up and down. And the reason I do this is because it will hold everything in place for me while I wrap the tape around the hive. And so, like you can see, I've done a lot of it already. Couple important things about these: never overlap the tape. And as you can see here at the very end, this little knob, when I tape it on, I will tape it away from the other part. We don't ever want to overlap. One year I brought this little knob around to the other piece, kind of like, you know, a loop at the end, and taped it to it. The two of them touching each other melted a lot of the plastic right here and exposed the wires. So understand, if you overlap these at any place that you overlap them, they're going to get hotter than you're going to want them to be. 1 wrap around a box is probably good. Obviously, somebody could buy a lot longer one and wrap one around a lot more and actually end up, you know, heating up their hive. I don't myself think that's quite necessary. I want my bees to somewhat stay natural. This really only starts to kick in. You don't have to plug it in all the time. You can, you know, plug it in when it gets cold out at a temperature that, you know, you think your bees might need a little help. And then other than that, when you put the other pieces of tape on, you want to press this to the surface of the hive. If there's any air in between these, and this is why you tape this, it won't do anything to heat up the hive at all. The other thing that happens is, when we put this vertical piece of tape on, afterwards, when we run a horizontal piece of tape across it, it makes it that much stronger so that it won't come off. This is how I get this to stay on. I run some this way, then I run some horizontal ones. Do this all the way around the hive, and you know, get it ready for the winter. You can see the bottom one there, I haven't put tape on yet, and that's because you know, there's a lot of bees there, and I'm not actually trying to disturb them a whole bunch at the moment. And I could risk smashing a bee inside the tape and some of those kind of things. I Another thing I wanted to talk about a little bit is the leveling of the hive. As you can see on my level right here, my dot's halfway across. I'll put some little boards into the back side to lift the side of the hive. That way any condensation that does end up in the hive can run to the front, down to the bottom, not drip on the back of the top of the bees. And a little bit later here, I'm going to do another video where I'm going to talk about how I tarp wrap these, and then I put some wood around them. That'll be winterizing number 4. This one's winterizing here with a heat tape. It's not necessary. Some people don't use these at all, obviously, but when I hear beekeepers have been around for 30 years talk about losing 8 out of 10 of their hives over the winter, I like to do things to take as many precautions to save my bees as I can. After all, these are bees' needs. My name is Greg Vail. Thank you. Have a nice day.